And we're going to go ahead and start. And I want to first thank everyone for coming. It's great to see you all here. This is a great day for us. It's an opportunity where we get a chance to hear from you, hear about what you're doing, hear about your ideas and your thoughts about CSBG, and then of course to record them and take them into consideration as we submit our application plan for the following years. I'm going to start with a statement just so we all are clear on the purpose and the intention of this meeting, and then from there I'd like to introduce our first speaker. This hearing is on the proposed state application and plan for the Community Services Block Grant CSBG program for federal fiscal year 2018 and federal fiscal year 2019. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Veronica Cruz, and I am the Director of the Community Services Block Grant Division of Community Services here at the Department of State. The purpose of this hearing is to obtain input regarding the Department of State's proposed CSBG application and plan for federal fiscal years 2018 and 2019. Federal CSBG funds are awarded to grantees in all counties of New York State. Community action agencies, community-based organizations, and Indian tribes or tribal organizations receive CSBG funds to provide advocacy, outreach services, and programs for economically disadvantaged persons in their local communities. The hearing today will focus on the New York State Department of State's plan for federal fiscal years 2018 and 2019. The plan delineates the manner in which funds will be expended and how the state will meet the federal CSBG program requirements during the applicable time period covered by the plan. Pursuant to 42 U.S.C. 9908, the Department of State Division of Community Services is holding this public hearing at this time in Albany, New York, with video conference to New York City and Buffalo, New York. Oral testimony is limited to 10 minutes. The order of witnesses is based on the order in which the reply forms were received. 5 copies of prepared testimony are requested. At the close of business on July 14, 2017, the following witnesses submitted a request to present testimony. Now I'm going to read that list and then call up our first. The first was Mohawk Valley Community Action, New York State Community Action Association, number 2. Number 3, we just found out canceled, but was Cattaraugus Community Action. Number 4, Opportunities for Otsego. Number 5, Community Action Program for Madison. And number 6, New York City Department of Youth and Community Development. If there are no questions before we start, why don't we go ahead and take our first testimony today by Mohawk Valley.
First of all, thank you for this opportunity to provide this important testimony about the Community Services Block Grant Program and the positive impact it has in communities across New York State. I actually have a prepared statement from my Executive Director, Amy Turner, at Mohawk Valley Community Action Agency. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the programs we do, and I'll let Deetra Harvey, who I have with me in Denise Rogan also. We're part of what we call our community engagement group at our agency, which is newly formed. And we did that because some of the things that were being said about us in the community and the services that we provide. But we, as most community action agencies within the state, do provide a lot of services to a lot of people based on our community assessments that we do. And that's where we decide what programs we're going to do. Most of the time, in Mohawk Valley Community Action, we do have our weatherization program, which is really going strong. We do empower for families. And our housing division, to me, is second to none in the state. Community action agencies for a long time have been providing these type of services. We do have Head Start, and other services that we provide. We provide family resources to families with our basis and our focus on case management, which is very important to us to make sure that we have families in the mix of everything we do. And we are dedicated to our communities and to the low-income population. You can tell that just through our boards. Our board is a tripartite board. Our advisory councils are tripartite councils. Our policy councils for our Head Start are also tripartite, and we make sure that we involve the community in everything we do. We've always done that with all of our community action agencies throughout the state. And I'm here to give testimony that we do need the support of the state and everything that we do to continue to support, even though we do have other groups that are trying to get the CSBG funding. But our contention is that we do it best, and we're always going to do it best with what we've done for many years. Moore Valley Community Action has been providing services to the low-income and poor population for over 51 years now. And we stand by the fact that we've done a great job, and we're going to continue to do a great job. And we are in full support of our state association for the support and the trainings that they offer us to make sure that we stay on top of everything that we need to do, that we're on top of our accountability, that we're setting positive goals that are focused on our communities and on what we need to do to continue to receive our CSBG funding. And with that, I'm going to let Deetra talk a little bit about what she's doing as far as the outreach efforts that we're doing with the community and some of the stuff that she's doing.
So I really want to highlight some of the things that our executive director pointed out in her written report that she thought was important. You know, transparency has become an issue in our community, and some of you may be aware that our agency, we are required to break out our services from Utica specific in regards to the rest of our service areas. And that's really because of, you know, issues in the community with in regards to CSBG funding and our agency's ability to administer that. But like Venice says, we've been working in our area for 51 years, and we believe that we are the premier anti-poverty organization in our community. So CSBG funding is really critical and important. But with the newly formed Community Engagement Division, that's in part what we are really doing. We're addressing that from a grassroots perspective, making CSBG more visible and alive in our communities. Oftentimes, if you're not a recipient of services, it's kind of hard to see the impact. So our Community Engagement Division, under the guise of our planning department, has been taking CSBG in its fullness from the grassroots perspective right into the community, just to give it a broader voice. One of the things that our executive director did point out was the idea of CSBG funding resting with and those funds being eligible for existing entities. In our community, we have ONA, who's a recipient of some CSBG funds. We have tried to build a relationship to make sure, you know, that they understand CSBG, how it works, you know, how we operate off of community needs assessment, the seriousness and the validity of Roma, and using Roma as a tool to collect and report out information and results. It's critical to letting, you know, the state and the nation know collectively the power that we have as a CSBG entity. So that's another reason why community engagement becomes very important, and the work that we do is to solidify who we are, what we do, and the expertise in which we administer our work in our communities. The other thing that I want to mention to you that Amy felt was very important, and so do I, is the relationship that we have had with the regional meetings. They have been extremely informative and helpful. All of those training pieces, the work and support that we get through NISCA is another valuable tool that our agency takes. We take advantage of, you know, pretty much everything that comes our way. We understand that the funds that are administered through CSBG across the nation impacts millions of people. We understand that our ability to do our work locally is extremely important. We also understand that our work and our numbers, our outcomes, as they're aggregated across state, nation, and across the nation, it means that we will be able to prove our case, right? We are living in contentious times. You know, funding is not a given. We have to prove ourselves. I think that we've been doing great work. I think that the tools that we have with CSBG, with Roma Next Gen, and where we're going, I think will definitely solidify our case locally and state and nationally.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the ODU program. We have an ODU program that we do in collaboration with Workforce Development, the Workforce Investment Board. And it's one of the things that I'll let her, Denise, talk about it a little bit. And it's something that we just started maybe a year and a half ago.
So about a year and a half ago, we started a program, like Benna said, in partnership with Workforce Development, Workforce Investment Board. We bring in youth that are ages 18 to 24, younger adults, and they job shadow with our weatherization and housing department. So they learn the job skills that they can use moving forward to enhance their employment opportunities. They learn how to put insulation in the homes, fix window drafts and doorways. They learn how to use power tools and hand tools that maybe they never had the opportunity to do. And it's a paid work opportunity, and if they can follow the program and do well, we also have job opportunities that we offer. They can stay on with our crews if that's available. And along with the work that they're doing, they also do soft skills classes where they do resume building, interview skills, budgeting, goal setting. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. All those wonderful things they do. They build relationships with our employees who help them through what they need, whether it's housing, daycare. We can set them up with Head Start preschool programs. One young lady in particular, she went through Valley Community Action from summer youth programs as a child, right on through to our work program, the older youth program, and she's now an employee. She works for the Head Start division as a nutrition aide, and she has a young son who's on the list for early Head Start, and she's doing very well for herself, and is recently been talking about furthering her education. So I think she was definitely a positive, we've had a positive impact in her life, and
which is a perfect example of bundling of services and two-generation approach, where we're able to work with families on multiple levels, and we're able to take a family 2 generations and follow that family through. So that's a perfect example of the collective work that we can do through partnerships that we have in our community, and the work that we do with CSBG support to make sure that individuals and families can grow from one level to the next.
And we thank you for allowing us to testify today, and thank you.
Many thanks for that. Many thanks. Our next testimony is coming from the New York State Community Action Association, and Carla DiGirolamo will be giving that testimony.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Veronica, and thank you to the department for giving us this opportunity. I have written testimony, which I have given everyone. I will give everybody a break and not read every word of my lengthy document. Just provide a little bit of overview information. As Veronica said, we're with the New York State Community Action Association. We are the membership association for the state's 49 community action agencies. In that role as a membership association, and with the support of the Department of State, we are able to provide a wide range of training and technical assistance services to our agencies. We're very pleased that we have been successfully able to work with our agencies over the last few years to get them up to speed on the organizational standards, where we have well over 90% of our agencies who are meeting well over 70% of the standards. I think it's closer to like 98% of our agencies in that. which I think is a tribute to the Department of State, to the agencies, and to all of our ability to work together to make sure that we're providing the best quality services. As I said, we are pleased and very grateful for the support that we received from the New York State Department of State Division of Community Services. The department has been very helpful in making sure that the services that we deliver are services that are not only relevant and timely, but are designed to help us sort of push the envelope in terms of not just increasing capacity, but moving us toward excellence, moving us toward the provision of best practices. And we continue to have a dialogue with the Department of State as a year goes on and as we plan for the next one, to make sure that what we're doing meets the needs of both the department and our member agencies out there. And we do a lot of work both in terms of formal needs assessments, when we're out in the community getting information, to try to always keep our ears to the ground to make sure that as new things come up, new challenges face our agencies, that we're able to provide support for them. We clearly at NISCA are not able to provide everything to everyone. We cannot be, all these places that we would like to be. So what we work really hard to do is if we can't provide a direct service or a training or technical assistance service that's requested, we try to help find those people. We want to be the resource for the state's agencies to come to when they're looking for information. If we don't have it, we can't supply it. We want to be able to lead people in the right direction. But even the kinds of things that we do internally over the past 4 or 5 years, and I have to say much at the urging of Veronica Cruz, the association has deepened and broadened our base of training and technical assistance services. So now we have what I'm very proud of as a very, I think, comprehensive portfolio of training and technical assistance services. With that sort of base for us, then we're hoping to move forward and, not only just build more services and sort of build out the services, but look at other ways to provide those services. Do we want to look at, increasing our use of electronic capacity, webinars and video recording, as well as, going out there and providing individualized TNCA at the agencies that we serve. You'll see in my testimony that we provide internally a lot of different kinds of services, training and technical assistance, from very specific to CSBG, talking about things like the community needs assessment, strategic plan and work plan, to more generic trainings, around what is poverty, working with trauma, domestic violence, supervision in a difficult environment. So we've really tried to develop the range of training and technical assistance services that can help meet, as I say, both of those objectives, the very specific CSBG objective, and then the general objectives that I think our human services agencies want to meet. In addition to the training and technical assistance services, which we provide, as I say, regionally for individual agencies, and we do that as well through a number of state conferences that we have every year, conferences that are designed to bring together the statewide network, often with other nonprofit and community-based organizations, to have an environment of learning and sharing and network building. In addition to that, we develop and distribute every year a range of resource materials. We develop each year an annual poverty report. We have developed a community action resource guide, which is also available online, so that if somebody asks you for services in a community in the state, you can go to this guide, you can find out what community action agency is there, and you can get a general sense of the kinds of services that we provide. We do newsletters. We actually have 2 newsletters that come out of NISCA every month. We have our general NISCA newsletter and the newsletter for the Regional Performance and Innovation Consortium. We're the lead agency for the Federal Region 2 RPIC. And in that role, we coordinate the training and technical assistance activities of the Federal Region 2, New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. And that also helps support some of the training that we do in New York State at NISCA. As you know, Community Action has been around for a very long time, providing services well over 50 years. We think that we have been able to sort of not just survive, but thrive here in New York State, again, because we have a close and supportive working relationship with our CSBG office. As a state association, I get the opportunity to travel and meet lots of other state directors, state association directors, and I am always proud to talk about the relationship we have with our state office. Very often I can see that this is not the typical relationship, that we are really lucky to have a state office that both supports us and holds us to account. I think that we, like our agencies, are held to high standards of accountability and performance. And as a result, we are then able to provide, I think, really high quality services and to have a working relationship with our department that I hope accrues to the benefit of all the agencies in New York State. Just sort of skipping, and there's lots of data in there for you. We wanted to say a couple of things in response to the management plan. And first, again, we want to recognize and thank the Department of State and the Division of Community Services for your support and advocacy. Particular thanks to the Secretary of State, Rosanna Rosado, for her leadership. As I mentioned, also particular thanks to Veronica, Annette, and all of the monitors who we think have been consistently responsive to the Community Action Agency's needs. And always approach our agencies and our network from a perspective of working to help us succeed. Again, I've been around a lot of regulatory and similar kind of licensing bodies, and I'm consistently impressed and pleased that we live in an environment where we are all committed to success. If there needs to be, changes made, if things have to, sort of move in a punitive direction, if you will, we always know that we only go in that direction after we have done everything we could as a network and as a state to help agencies succeed. And I just think that's a real tribute to the department, and I appreciate being able to work in that environment. We appreciate as well that this year's management plan did show evidence of having listened to the past comments that have been made. There was an opportunity for input into the management plan. It came out with enough time for people to feel like they were going to have the opportunity to respond to it. And so again, we want to thank the department for being responsive. Makes coming to these kind of opportunities to speak seem worthwhile. It does not feel like this is going into sort of an empty hole and nobody's paying attention. And we really appreciate that. In addition to continuing, you in this year's management plan, as far as I can tell, have the breakout of funds in the same proportions that it's been in the last one. Continuing, as Veronica said, to support the tribes and tribal organizations and some discretionary fund initiatives. What we would like to recommend is that the department consider, as much as possible, keeping the CSBG funds within the CSBG network. That the network, and the testimony that I'm presenting is on behalf of the network, that the network would strongly urge that the discretionary funds be allocated through a competitive process within the community action agencies. The belief in the community action agency network is that those are designed to be used by the Federal Anti-Poverty Network, and we urge the state to ensure that they stay within. Regarding the discretionary funds that have been allocated, a number of agencies who have received those discretionary funds have noted that a one-year project time frame is often too short to get a new program up and running and to evaluate its effectiveness. And they would like to encourage the department to consider multi-year project timeframes to allow agencies to fully implement and evaluate projects, find ways to sustain those that are effective, and either correct or abandon those that are not effective. If discretionary grants are going to be made outside of the CAA network, NISCA and our network would urge that those grantees be held to the same standards as community action agencies, that those projects be driven by the community needs assessments, be outcome focused. Deetra mentioned sort of using the Roma framework, and that there be a mechanism for low income customer involvement. If the competitive process includes non-community action agencies, we suggest that some additional consideration be considered to community action agencies in such a competitive bid process. We, as I mentioned, support and are beneficiaries of the department's support for training and technical assistance services, and obviously encourage that to continue. We also recognize and thank the department for their support of the Community Action Angels and the work that they do around volunteer coordination. We also would like to suggest that, if possible, a 25% local match for CSBG funds be reviewed, and if possible, be eliminated. This requirement has created a burden for community action agencies who find themselves sort of competing for that limited pot of discretionary funds that they have that can be used toward things such as matches, and increasingly agencies are finding that match a challenge. The network would also like to support DOS in any way that we could in developing the capacity for electronic submissions of documents, particularly those needed for routine monitoring. As you all know better than I do, currently agencies have to submit binders and boxes with all the documentation cumbersome, labor-intensive, and costly process for all. To the extent that we could move to an electronic submission, I think would save time and money for the grantees as well as, I'm guessing, for the department. And finally, we wanted to just make note that while we think much has been done with the tracks and across processes and sort of layering on top of that the organizational standards, there are questions as to whether or not we now have a bit of repetition in the process, and whether it's possible to explore if changes could be made to reduce sort of the annual reporting. Are we, when we're looking each year at the organizational standards and the implementation of those, are we also duplicating some of what's happening in the across? So there was a suggestion made that we take a look at those processes and just make sure that there's not duplication. And as a final couple of additional comments and concerns, as you know, our network has long supported the MWBE initiative of the governors, but finds it a continuing challenge, and in particular in upstate communities where accessing an MWBE vendor might mean that they no longer can use a local vendor, somebody who perhaps has been a supporter of those agencies. So agencies continue to struggle with those sort of practical aspects of it, while strongly supporting the need to increase the use of minority and women business owner businesses. We also want to note that we were very happy to see last year that the state recognized the importance of poverty with the creation of the Empire State Poverty Initiative. Out of the initial 16, however, I think only 3 or 4 were led by community action agencies, and in fact, Opportunities for Otsego is one of those agencies. We would, like in the future, to see any such statewide anti-poverty initiatives clearly identify community action agencies and NISCA as sort of lead players, since we are the federally designated anti-poverty initiative. We're working really hard at NISCA to try to strengthen our relationships with the legislature so that they can sort of remember these things in the future if this comes up. And we also applaud DOS for the support in the management plan for resources to assist with the exploration and implementation of shared services agreements and/or mergers. Our network realizes that there are going to be compelling reasons to consider those things, and is very interested and grateful for the opportunity to have some resources to at least explore, take some steps toward exploring those kinds of opportunities. So I want to thank you again for the opportunity to comment today. Thanks again to Director Cruz and Annette Marchese for support for NISCA and the network, and we look forward to continuing to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Carla. Well, our next speaker is, or our next testimony is Opportunities for Otsego, Dan Maskin.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to provide comments on the CSBG management plan. My name is Daniel Maskin, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Opportunities for Otsego, more affectionately known in our community as OFO. We are a community action agency in Otsego County, New York, with 15 locations, including its main office in the city of Oneonta. Our annual budget is over $8 million, and we employ 165 people. Our mission is to be the leader in developing innovative solutions that promote healthy lives, thriving families, and caring communities. OFO's broad goals are to reduce poverty, engage the community in poverty reduction strategies, and seek resources that are geared towards reducing poverty in our community. We strive to do this through early childhood development services, low-income energy reduction strategies, crisis intervention services that include homeless housing, advocates for victims of crimes, domestic violence shelter, court advocacy, and counseling and intervention for victims of rape and sexual assault. Child and family development services include Head Start, Early Head Start, Women, Infants, and Children, and Building Healthy Families, which is a home visiting service to mothers and families with very young children who indicate stressors in their lives. OFO is governed by a tripartite board of directors. This means that the board must be comprised of elected public officials or their representatives, at least one-third low-income consumers of our services, and the rest are business and community representatives. The tenet of community action is maximum feasible participation, meaning that the consumers of our services must participate in the planning and implementation of programs that are designed to reduce poverty. The poverty rate in Otsego County is 16.5%. The poverty rate in the city of Oneonta is 29.5%. The city of Oneonta was one of the recipients of the Empire State Poverty Reduction Initiative and designated OFO as the lead agency. We established a task force of community leaders that includes representatives from healthcare providers, the Chamber of Commerce, Workforce Development, area colleges, municipalities, and community members. By focusing on children and youth ages 0 through 18 through the Oneonta City School District, the task force aims to address issues of poverty affecting the physical and emotional development of school children while supporting teachers who must grapple with these issues as they attempt to provide education to their students. A comprehensive needs assessment on poverty in the city of Oneonta will be presented to the task force in July, actually tomorrow morning, and the task force will develop a strategic plan for implementation of phase 2 of the project in August of 2017. The Poverty Reduction Initiative has also given OFO the opportunity to engage with communications across barriers to create an opportunity community model that uses a collective, comprehensive, people-to-people approach that assists people in moving out and staying out of poverty. Once established, it will be the first of its kind in New York State. Opportunities for Otsego participated with community leaders on the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, which includes plans for business development, job creation, and the expansion of affordable housing in the city of Oneonta. We were awarded an Enough is Enough grant through the New York State Department of Health to reduce the incidence of sexual assault and rape on the 2 college campuses in the city of Oneonta. By having a sexual assault campus advocate, we educate students on sexual assault prevention, as well as provide crisis intervention services to colleges who are victims of rape and sexual assault. And lastly, we partnered with the city of Oneonta to offer a first-time homebuyers program that offers low-interest loans to eligible families to attain their dream of home ownership. By working with the city, we were able to identify abandoned properties and assist with repairs and renovations. In addition to expanding home ownership to low-income families, it put abandoned properties back on the tax rolls. I would like to express my thanks to Veronica Cruz and to Annette Marchese and all of the staff at the Division of Community Services for the excellent work done in administering CSBG in New York. This past year, community action agencies have had ample time to review the state management plan and updates at the state and national levels through a series of regional meetings around the state. These meetings gave executive directors and senior staff the opportunity to engage on the management plan and other issues and policies that will have impacts on the state office and community action agencies. Community action agencies also had the opportunity to participate in a national survey to give feedback about the effectiveness of state offices. The Division of Community Services went a step further and reviewed the results of the network and took that feedback into account moving forward. The implementation of the annual compliance review of organizational standards and the triennial review of accountability and compliance standards the Division of Community Services it assures strict compliance with the complex management and governance areas that comprise community action agencies. For OFO, these reviews not only assure compliance, but make us a stronger agency that gives the confidence to other funding sources and future funders in knowing that strong systems of finance, human resources, program management, and board governance are in place. Our one recommendation is that OFO supports the New York State Community Action Association's recommendations regarding discretionary funds, as these funds can expand opportunities for community action agencies, including training, technical assistance, and the development of innovative projects. So in conclusion, I would like to express my thanks to the Division of Community Services for the opportunity to provide and look forward to provide testimony and look forward to a productive year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for that testimony. The next testimony presentation is from the Community Action Program for Madison County.
Good morning. My name is Antara Mitra. I'm the Executive Director of Community Action Program for Madison County. Thank you for this opportunity to provide feedback on the draft state plan for Community Services Block Grant Program. I would like to take this opportunity to thank New York State Department of State for the increased level of communication, including regular newsletters, regional meetings, and emails that immensely help us in working toward our shared goal of meeting the needs of the vulnerable and the low-income residents of our communities. Community Action Program for Madison County is a community action agency that provides a wide variety of services in Madison County, Oneida County, and Herkimer County. Our agency offers rental, transportation, and utility assistance to low-income families. We offer transitional housing apartments for homeless families. We have 4 transitional housing apartments and 2 permanent supportive housing apartments. We have several home visiting programs such as Healthy Families and Early Head Starts that provide services to pregnant and young families with child development and school readiness goals. We administer the WIC program in the Tri-County region of Madison, Oneida, and Herkimer. We have Nutrition Outreach and Education Program, NOIP, in Madison County. Mentoring program working with children in the county. Kinship Care Coordination Program. Family Action, another home visiting program working with families in distress. And we offer coordinated intake through our office-based caseworkers throughout the county. CSBG funds have enabled us to address the needs of our residents while maintaining standards of evaluation and measurement of outcomes. Today I offer a couple of comments and recommendations for consideration to New York State Department of State. Firstly, regarding the discretionary funds, as NISCA also had in their recommendations, we agree that if New York State Department of State would strongly consider making these funds available only to existing eligible community action agencies, and that these be designated for a period longer than 1 year. This will ensure that agencies held to the Roma standard with a deep knowledge of local needs and resources will be able to effectively design and implement programs that are truly reflective of the community. Increased duration will allow agencies to fully implement innovative programming, incorporate improvements as identified, and evaluate impact. The second comment is regarding the 25% local share, and we strongly urge the Department of State to consider revising or eliminating this percent of local share. This requirement adds considerable administrative burden to agencies that are already struggling with limited staff and increasing administrative tasks. The structure of Roma and the community action ethos ensure that agencies work closely with community partners, volunteers, and other local resources. Thus, the documentation necessary to record local share is a cumbersome and an unnecessary burden. We too support the continued funding of NISCA, which is a valuable resource for community action agencies and provides high-quality technical assistance and training. The recent rollout of changes in the CSBG annual report and Roma Next Gen reporting outcomes highlights the role NISCA has played in helping agencies understand and implement these changes. We also support the continued funding of community action angels. Lastly, regarding compliance with MWB requirements and the reporting associated with it is something that agencies in rural upstate New York find extremely difficult due to the minimum number of MWB vendors available. It poses an increased administrative burden on agencies. I appeal to New York State Department of State to continue to advocate for a lessening of these requirements on nonprofit agencies. Thank you again for the opportunity to offer our comments and recommendations today. Thank you to the Secretary of State and the Division of Community Services for their commitment to this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next and last testimony comes from New York City Department of Youth and Community Development.
Good morning. I'm Mike Bobbitt, Assistant Commissioner for the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development, the Community Action Agency, or CAA for New York City. On behalf of Commissioner Bill Chong, I thank you for this opportunity to comment on the New York State Department of State's Community Services Block Grant Management Plan and to share with you some highlights of New York City's CSBG funded initiatives. Today I'm actually going to read a truncated statement. We have a longer written statement we'll submit later on by the deadline. In response to DOS's management plan, DYCD is pleased to see that the state will continue to administer CSBG funding in a way that allows for creative programming in low-income communities throughout New York City. We support the state's targeting of funding to low-income individuals and communities most in need. CSBG funding assists participants as they overcome barriers and achieve self-sufficiency, helps them secure and retain meaningful employment, and supports adequate educational opportunities, particularly by improving literacy skills. We would like to thank the Division of Community Services for their able support and administration of the CSBG program in New York State and look forward to continuing our partnership. Since New York State Department of State implemented its new oversight tools, DYCD has taken part in one self-assessment, which greatly assisted us with our preparation for the triennial review for accountability and compliance with standards, or TRACS, which took place this past spring. Guidance and support from New York State Department of State and NISCA concerning the National Organizational Standards and the Department of State's listing of specific indicators that must be demonstrated in order to meet these standards enabled DYCD to successfully demonstrate our adherence to them and further allowed us to demonstrate our commitment to community engagement in our work. DYCD supports the New York State Department of State's plan to continue contracting with NISCA to provide technical support. This will be important as community action agencies adjust their reporting and compliance practices in accordance with Roma Next Generation. DYCD currently has 5 Roma trainers. 2 are already nationally certified, and we intend to send another staff member for training as a Roma implementer in the future. As you know, CSBG funds enable DYCD to provide services for the most vulnerable New Yorkers. Through these funds, DYCD aims to reduce poverty and empower people to achieve self-sufficiency in 42 low-income neighborhoods throughout the city's 5 boroughs. Residents in target communities participate in recommending the funding allocations and priorities for CSBG-funded programs in their neighborhoods at public hearings and through neighborhood advisory boards. DYCD is proud to report that in city fiscal year 2017, which ended June 30, 2017, New York City received approximately $30 million in CSBG funding, partnered with 267 community-based organizations, 5 institutions of post-secondary education and training that served as our CBO delegate agencies, partnered with 2 faith-based organizations, 15 local government officials, 2 for-profit businesses, 2 financial institutions, 1 health service institution, to serve on our Community Action Board, and served approximately 20,000 people, including 16,000 families. Additionally, over the last federal fiscal year, which ended September 30, 2016, 480 New Yorkers were mobilized by Community Action to participate in anti-poverty initiatives, donating 4,271 hours of their time. Continued CSBG funding to New York City provides persons living in low-income, high-need communities with vital tools to overcome poverty and achieve independence. In conclusion, DYCD's vision is to improve the quality of life for New Yorkers by collaborating with local organizations and investing in the talents and assets of our communities to help them develop, grow, and thrive. I thank you for the opportunity to discuss DYCD's efforts to serve New York's low-income individuals, families, and communities, and thank the Department of State Division of Community Services for their continued support.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to wrap up by thanking everyone for coming, for giving testimony, for giving such thoughtful testimony, each of you. And I conclude by reminding everyone that this hearing was on the proposed state application and plan for the Community Services Block Grant CSBG program for federal fiscal year 2018 and federal fiscal year 2019. The purpose of this hearing was to obtain input regarding the Department of State's proposed CSBG application and plan for federal fiscal years 2018 and 2019. I want to thank everyone for coming and have a great day.